It is cold this morning. I think it was -1 when I got up. My plan was this weekend I was going to go finish cutting up some trees and move some things to help deer movement in a certain stand area, which you guys would have seen on the last video. But based on the fact that we've got, feet of snow piled up, I'm going to be in the shop today instead. I've had a little project in mind that I'm going to go ahead and start. Basically, I want to take an older bow. This is a 2016 Hoyt Nitram, and I want to build it for competition 3D, but just with things I have laying around. Archery, like many things, has turned into how much money can you spend? Every single item you buy for archery. It's the same with guns, same with motorcycles, fishing, whatever you get into. A lot of times it turns into that. Well, I'm going to go anti that, see if I can build a target bow. And in my mind, I have like this Mad Max theme I kind of want to go with too. I don't know, rat bow is what keeps popping in my head. Rat rods, rat bikes. Why not a rat bow? So we're gonna dink with that today. We'll see where we get. Hopefully it's as interesting as I think it could be. All right, so here's the bow. Again, it's a 2016 Nitram 30. And I've gotten along extremely well with this bow. It was, for whatever reason, it's probably been the best feeling bow in my hand. I have a 30-inch draw length, so you wouldn't think a 30-inch axle to axle would fit me really, wouldn't be as comfortable or as accurate, but this thing was. And hunted with it for a long time, shot a lot of local 3D with it. And we're going to try to revamp it and turn it into rat bow. If you think of a better name, let me know, but I'm fairly simple-minded. I'm thinking paint, roughing it up, like I said, just making something unique, making something my own, outside of spending money on colored accessories, which is really the only way that most folks personalize a bow. I'm going to try to do it with, again, things I've got, personal type of a build, and yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get this in the shop, let it warm up out there, and we'll figure out what we're going to do. Okay. So I mentioned that I would like to build a target bow with things I had laying around. Not everybody's going to have a couple dozen X cutters, but these, you've got old arrow shafts and things laying around. This trophy, I'm going to potentially use that for something later. We'll see what happens there. But here's my thought on a target setup. You guys have seen the long competition style stabilizers, usually 30-ish inches long. And then a back bar, usually 12-ish inches long. And they're really pretty simple what they are. They cost several $100s, but they're a long carbon rod with a little weight at the end. That's all they are. So I'm going to take some of these old X cutters that I don't use anymore. I'm thinking if I take 4 of these, wrap them, somehow join them, get a fitting on the end that will attach to a quick disconnect. This here, in my mind, is a stabilizer. I can adjust my weights. Let's just get working on it. We'll see what we come up with. That's my goal for today, though. 4 of a kind. I'm going to strip the fletching off of these. They're all 29 3/8. I'll weigh them and see how much weight's in each one of them. I'll try it with just the 400 grains that's going to be on front. If I don't like that, I can add weight later. But first things first, we got to strip these off. That's a pretty good looking stabilizer end. I think this will be cool. Really not much to figure out. I'm not opposed to hose clamps, zip ties. I could, let's see, I could just tie it up real well and then epoxy these seams as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a way to temporarily fasten these tight. And then we'll start working on our end cap here, which will allow us to thread it into our riser. And then stabilizer's already done. How much is 400 grains in ounces? Because I usually shoot a really light stabilizer, like an ounce or 2 on the end. It feels heavier than that. Okay. So I like that. That's going to be what our bar looks like, and I'm going to, I don't know, I'll probably turn it sideways like this, you know, for less wind drag on them crosswinds. I don't know if this is going to work, but this is 1-inch diameter tubing. This is actually a crash bar for a 78 Goldwing. But what I'm thinking is if I can cut this and get a section of this pipe, then I can crimp it in this vise, kind of turn it into an oval. If I can get that to slide over this, then I can epoxy it on there. I can weld a plate across the bottom of the tube. Well, hold on. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just going to show you what I'm going for, hopefully. We'll let that cool off. I cut it as crooked as possible. That's okay. I'll square it up with a grinder, but first I just need to make sure it'll fit. All right, let's see if this will fit. Okay, it's gonna be close. I think this might have the diameter we need. Let's see if I can crimp it on the smaller vise. Okay, let's see if that's enough. All right. Okay, well, scratch that. That is not going to be big enough, so need pipe a little bit larger. Good thing I didn't need this crash bar. We'll use it for something else, maybe even on this bow. Okay, it's the other crash bar. So it looks like 1.5 inches is probably what I need. These bars are all 7/8. Most of the rest of everything I've got in here is 1 inch. Will that work? This is an old ladder that I just use. Well, I used to use to hang for paper tune. As you can see, I would just tape it in there all crudely. Now I've got an actual stand, which makes things a lot better. But point of that is, I don't need this for anything. Since it's square, it's going to be really close to the shape I need anyway. I can just flatten that down into that diamond shape that these shafts are sitting in. So let me try some of this sucker. Ooh, that's going to do it, I think. Let's crimp that down. I think that might work. So you can see it slides in. Thinking I might just go like that and epoxy it in there. Obviously what I need to do now is take that off, cut this other end off, get this thing straight, as level as I can, and weld a plate on the end so we can get our threaded section in there. Let's finish this fine prize. Beautiful. Okay, so now they both fit really nice, fairly snug, very similar. So now we need to go get plates made to weld on as end caps, where we can mount our threaded rod and attach them to the bow. I'm going to grind these smooth and get them to slide down into that tube. And then what I'm trying to figure out is, should I drill the center? Once I get them fitted, I can measure, get the center, drill it, weld the nut before I put them in. I think that's the only way I can go. I'm not going to be able to reach them otherwise. So that could be interesting, getting that straight, but I think we can make it happen. So I'm going to let these cool off, stoke the fire, and grind them down and get them fit. Alright, so it's not a perfect fit, but weld will fill that in. Got a plate in the end here. I'm going to go ahead and mark the center. Alright, so I had that in there, measured it, got my center mark, then I got that little dash that lines up here because this was so crudely, created. It might just be a one side, one flip wonder. So, well, boys and girls, I've got bad news. I went through my entire bin of nuts and bolts and random things, and I actually don't have nuts that'll fit this. I have coarse thread. These are fine thread. Bad day when we got to go to Ace Hardware. Sheesh. Good boy. Good boy. All right. I'll consider myself lucky if this is the only trip to town I make today. Should be. Just driving to town, driving through this, and the thought popped in my head, how freaking lucky are we to have heated houses, heated vehicles, to cover distance like we can in this kind of weather comfortably. Pretty awesome. A lot of times I have to stop and think about some of the things that I'm grateful for, because I have a tendency to get down and compare myself to other people. We all do. But just little thoughts like that go, damn, I ate this morning. I can cruise at room temperature with my lab who's comfortable and not literally freeze to death. And the only reason I'm even trying to get around is to go get parts and pieces for a hobbled, cobbled bow that I'm playing with. It isn't for survival. Gratitude can be found anywhere. $16.24. Alright, so these nuts will work, but I'm gonna grab some bolts a little shorter, but I might weld a bolt in there. I'm gonna get some just in case. What's up, dude? We got our stuff. All right, we are back. So the reason I bought different sized bolts is because, well, okay, so here's the threaded rod. I got some shorter than that. And I got some the same length. And the reason why is because I would prefer to save that. I mean, I'm sure I could go buy another one, but if I can just weld a bolt in there and that's gonna fly, then why not? Yum yum sauce. You're not that good of a fabricator, especially finish work. It's rat rod, baby. That's what we're building here. first things first though, you can't have it rusting in there. It's a little $3 fire red spray paint. Do the trick. Oh yeah. See, a little on the edges running down, dripping out. Again, this is kind of how I want this thing to look, man. It's gonna have some character, that's for sure. Whoop. Whoop. I also gotta protect the back. Let me get a little black on the back here. There's my back bar. So you know what we need now? Zip ties. PSA, I probably wouldn't do this if I was really wanting to make sure my carbon was safe. But I have done that, trying to keep my carbon safe. And if you just do it for about 5 seconds, you're good. Yeah, maybe try 3. If you go a little further than that, that carbon is, it splits apart, it ruins it, it gets weak. These aren't even, I think that was actually epoxy that was holding those in. I'm gonna use, I don't know, I might use hot glue, cold melt, whatever. Just in case I need to change the weights in these. I'm not sure how much weight I'm going to get in these points, but probably going to have to play with it a little bit. So for now, anyway, the torch will do. Just don't use that as advice to pull points. All right, well, if you get one that won't come out, do this. She'll come out. Let me Google something. Grains to ounces. So 50, let's do 150 grains. And I want to run that in 4 arrows. So 600 grains is 1.3 ounces. So I need to run more than that. So there's a couple things I can do. I can either use different points, stack a bunch of weights, or come up with some different weight system entirely for the ends of these arrows. Because I usually shoot about 8 to 10 ounces, or 6 to 8. I don't shoot a lot of stabilizer weight at all. Front is usually an ounce or 2, and the back is, like I said, 6 to 8 ounces. So I think I'm just gonna pack a bunch of 50 grain weights into these points, see what that ends up looking like, and if I need to change something down the road, I will. Plenty of stuff I can find out here to hang off the end of the stabilizer and give it some weight. Actually, I do have a good idea for that, but we'll see if we need to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw these weights in there. The paint is drying on my, whatever you wanna call it, collars for these shafts. And as soon as those are dry, epoxy time. All right, I don't know the best way to do this to get it straight. So, without thinking too hard, I'm just gonna jam them in there. Sound good? Reload, reload. Arts and crafts time. Eyeball it straight. I guess that's where it's gonna sit, huh? Looks pretty good. I dig it. All right. Let's fill this baby up. All right, ladies and gents, we have one homemade 30-inch competition stabilizer. That's gonna work, that's cool. And I'm gonna I've got it in my mind now, this is what I wanna do. I'm gonna get some grip tape and I'm gonna start right on the edge of this collar and I'm just gonna wrap it, stop at the logo, wrap it, stop down here. Do something to these tips, they're too shiny. This bow's gonna look gnarly. This is just the start. So let's go ahead and glue the rear on. Let's put these things on here, take one final look. I'm excited to do that. There it is, guys. Motorcycle's in the way. Damn, that thing's balanced really well right there. It really is. Look at that. That's balanced pretty darn nice. So there you go, homemade competition stabilizers. They're not super fancy, but I guarantee you they're gonna balance the bow, and they look a little rough. You could have made this look really nice. I didn't want to. Matter of fact, this looks a little too nice based on what I've got going on. You can see I've got some red and black in here. It gives you a little idea where I'm headed. Again, mentioned rat rod, Mad Max style, you know, rat bike kind of a thing. You can tell I like motorcycles. I enjoy putting my touch into stuff, and I wanted to do it with a bow, so here we go. My favorite old bow that was sitting in a case. I'm getting it back out. We're gonna turn this into a target bow. Nothing about it's gonna make sense, but it's gonna shoot fine. Thanks for sticking along. This was pretty cool. I've still got more to do with these. Coming up, we're gonna end up painting the bow. I'm gonna do something with this rest cage, maybe a pin guard. I'm gonna come up with a bunch of neat things. I've actually got an idea for a peep sight, but I don't know how safe that is since that's in your eye, but I think we can make some things happen there. I do need to replace this string, but I'm gonna build this bow first and we're gonna go from there. So stay tuned if you guys wanna keep track. I'm gonna post these as often as I can get to work on it. I'll catch you all in the next one.